Hello again. So now we're up to chapter 19, the Industrial Revolution in 19th Century Society. So when we talk about industrialization, we're talking about the improvements in terms of machinery, in terms of agriculture, in terms of banking, credit institutions, those types of things that are starting to form, which we haven't talked about in industrialization movement since prior to the Renaissance. So this is quite a bit of time that has passed where new innovations are going to be coming to the forefront. The book does talk about textile innovations. So John Kay with his flying shuttle, which was used for weaving and textiles. Eli Whitney, and of course his cotton gin, which was very beneficial in the New World in terms of separating cotton from its seeds, so that way they can be used for textiles as well. The export of coal and iron from Great Britain. We also talk about the commercialization of transportation. So, use of railways. Railways are now going to be interconnecting all of Europe at this point in time. Also, adding miles of paved roads, which is something that they didn't have. Due to that, it's also going to lead to population increases, which we kind of talked about in the last chapter or two. So we already know that there's millions of people that are existing in Europe, basically due to the fact that they are living longer, they're eating better, they have better medication to prevent them from getting diseases. So because of that, population is going to increase. By 1800, they said there's about 205 million people in Europe, and then by 1914, 480 million people. So of course now population is going to increase significantly, and that's also due to improvements in hygiene and also in medicine as well. This chapter also focuses between the years of 1845 and 1849 with the Irish potato famine. So basically that has to do with the famine that occurred. Also focuses on the bleakness of rural life because most of Europe at this point in time is still very agrarian. So what I mean by agrarian, I'm meaning that they're focusing specifically on farming. That's basically the way that they would make their lives within a lot of different countries, and specifically in Eastern Europe too. Serfdom also existed. So serfdom is basically even just as worse as being a peasant. So a serf is basically somebody who would enter into a contract because they are indebted to somebody. So since they cannot pay off that debt monetarily, it's easier for them to become a serf for their master. So they would work that said contract for 2 years, 3 years, however long it is. And then once that debt is paid, then they would be free to go. So serfdom still existed. It wasn't something that just poof disappeared. The only difference between serfdom and slavery is the fact that once you're born into slavery, you remain a slave. As a serf, once you work off your contract, then you're free to go. You do have your freedom after that. Population in cities are also going to start to grow at this point in time as well. London had about 2.3 million people that were residing at the point in time, while Paris had 1.3 million. So we are talking about significant population increases at this point in time too. The book also talks about middle classes and working classes. This has to do with the industrialization of the economies within Europe. Specifically, now we're going to see a movement of people within terms of social stratification. So now common man can actually then enter the workforce, make some money, and then move up in class and totem poles. So they can move up to become middle class. Maybe later on they'll start their own business and become upper class and so on and so forth, which we haven't seen for a period of time. So now we actually do see that with the industrialization movement. And of course, like I said, due to population and also increase in beneficial medications and other things that are going to cause people to actually live a lot longer than what we've seen. Okay, so please focus on that as you're reading through this chapter. All right, thank you.